What's up guys, Chris here with chapter 40 of the Four Knights of the Apocalypse. Now last chapter gave us the reveal that Gowther was in fact the Elder, and I gotta say, that was unexpected, and I also kind of called that Gowther would be the first real sin that the main group would end up meeting on their way to Leonis. So I'm very happy for that, and I'm glad that Gowther has not changed as a character, and is the same person that I know, that we all know and love. And it also gave us a bit of a heart-wrenching backstory to Ardberg, how he gained his powers, how he joined King Arthur, as well as Gowther helping him turn over a new leaf at the very last second, as he gives his life to save On from certain death. Now this chapter will start off directly after this. But before I get into the actual video, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. We're inching closer and closer to 1,000 subscribers. We're already at 900 at the point of me recording, and I just cannot wait till we reach 1,000, because then I will be officially monetized, and hopefully that will help me get out even more videos for you guys to enjoy, because I have a lot of stuff planned for after 1,000 subscribers. So stay tuned for that. Also, I got my Patreon and Ko-fi accounts that have, if you want to help support the channel more directly, go to my Patreon and Ko-fi accounts, links in the description below. My social media accounts for my Instagram and Twitter, where I update pretty regularly, are also available. So if you want to interact with me when I post, follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And with that out of the way, let's get right into the video. Chapter 40, Fearsome Attackers. We start off directly at the end of last chapter, with the aftermath of Ardberg's decision to save On, giving up his life. We get an overview of the cliff where he was and the passageway, as the bird flying on top that has been following our group since Cant begins talking, seemingly relaying the thoughts of the one controlling it, stating that Ardberg protected their friends and he got too old for this stuff, and he can't see Percival, and this person cannot see Percival or Gowther anywhere, and is wondering if they're alive or not, since there is too much dust in the air to tell. But then, the bird gets hit in the head, killed by an arrow, and it is revealed to be Sin, as he states that he would have just killed that thing flat out if he knew it wasn't Gowther's friend, if he knew that Gowther wasn't the one controlling it. And that if Gowther did not disable Ardberg's magic, he'd be hesitant to even enter the cave in the first place. And he says, "This time, at least, I owe you one, Gowther." As Gowther looks over at the image of Ardberg's little girl as it fades away from existence, fully showing that Ardberg has passed on. Gowther uses his magic, grabs as he touches the spear that came and killed him, and is beginning to use his powers to identify who threw the sphere from the residual brainwaves that were left due to the magical power. As we get the reveal of that attacker's name, Tamda, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Chaos Knight that is serving King Arthur with several more companions nearby, about 9.2 miles. Gowther puts Percival down, stating that he hasn't really gotten used to this new feeling. As Gowther has a very pissed off look in his face, and whips out his sacred treasure, the double bow harlot. And I like that he just went full on serious mode right off the bat. But we don't get to see him launch it. We cut to a little bit in the future, about a couple of minutes, as On remembers Ardberg's final words with a tear in her eyes as she wakes up. Next to Donnie, Percival, and Aziennes, who are naked, and she realizes that she is also naked. She screams. Percival's wondering what's wrong. She shouts, "Don't look at me." And in the very next panel, we see that she slapped Percival in the face. And I like how they're all just being so nonchalant about this, except for On. Straight up, oh man, I like how Donnie's basically teasing her that she actually likes seeing the guys naked, which is hilarious. Fits Donnie's character. It's a very funny interaction on all things considered. And I like how Percival is just so innocent. All I did was see her boobs. I don't know what was the problem with that, because if we remember in the early chapters, Percival has literally been with a girl that was his age who took a bath, and she just thought he was a little kid that didn't understand anything. I mean, Percival doesn't really understand most things anyway. He's kind of, like Donnie said, he was a kid from the sticks. He doesn't really know anything. So, he literally does not know why Ann is so mad at him, which I still find freaking hilarious. Though, anyway, cutting back to the actual events of the chapter, Percival finds Ardberg's staff on the ground, and they're all wondering where he went. And then wondering if the fight is over, if Ardberg gave up since Percival's still safe. Percival brings up a good point about the goddess Amber and about the demons that were sealed inside, as Gowther appears stating that it's not a concern and mission completed, with Sin resting on his head, which is freaking hilarious, as Gowther states that he will explain. And I like how Donnie in this is like she's hot, not knowing that Gowther is technically a guy, though Gowther is a doll, so I guess she could be either. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, because Gowther's just been essentially referred to as a guy the entire Seven Deadly Sins. He just looks like a girl and dresses up like a girl. So yeah, I'm actually not sure anymore, unless Gowther now identifies as a girl, fully identifies as a woman now. Which, if that is so, then I'm gonna have to correct myself from this point onward when referring to Gowther. But yeah, regardless, I still kind of find Donnie's reaction a bit hilarious, as everyone is wondering who he is, as Gowther just does his signature pose while Sin's on his head. I still find Sin just resting up on Gowther's head is just freaking hilarious. Alright, but anyway, we've cut way over in the distance, and we see a group of knights and what seems like an 8-legged horse. So I'm guessing it's like some kind of chaos creature that Arthur created. As one of the knights stated that they handled the meddler Ardberg, but it doesn't count. And that the person that was that threw the spears is kind of being mocked for missing 2 shots, as they basically ambushed one of the Knights of the Apocalypse and a member of the Sins. And states that it's kind of bad now because they're aware of them and they'll be on their guard. As they reference Ironside, Tulsker, and Ardberg, stating that they all failed because they saw their foes as mere children, and another one just stating that they were just old farts anyway, showing that they have no respect for their more senior knights, believing themselves to be, well, kind of hot shit. As one of the knights asks Tomda what his familiar was, he states that it was by the Dalthar Peaks, just around the valley. As they end up confirming that they are on their way to Leonis and that they have to catch up. But just then, Gowther's double bow harlot attack comes flying at them from the distance, as it is a flying magic bolt with an unknown type. As soon as it starts coming towards them, they all scatter, as the arrow curves and is heading straight for Tomda. Tomda begins to throw his own spear with his own magical attack, stating that he'll just fight back. He throws it, but it goes right through the arrow, as it then hits Tomda, much to everyone's surprise. But he's like, I don't know what happened. I'm just fine. What was that? One of the knights states that, well, it was just a bluff, and to give them so he's just going to give them another taste of his skill, homing. But the very last panel of that page is stated, "You made me mad," which refers to Gowther's pissed off look from earlier in the chapter. Gowther never really got mad, especially once he got his heart back in the Seven Deadly Sins. So now Gowther is fully enraged, as we see that the knight that was talking to Tomda was just hit right through with one of the spears, much to the shock of everyone else. Tomda stating that it's not him. He can't control himself. Something has taken over his body. As it's revealed to be Gowther's signature attack, Invasion Jack. As he basically launched a command to fully take control of his opponent's mind from a distance to follow a particular command. One of the knights says that it's a fearsome power, the will bending skill of Gowther the Sin. Tomda states, "Do something, don't just stand there," as we see Tomda's head on one of the knight's sword, as the last panel of that particular page shows his body like literally cut up like cheese, like cut in 3 pieces. Well, 4 if you count his head, seemingly in an instant. This is going to show how strong these new knights are. As he tosses it over into the air, "Now do you see? Don't you dare underestimate them. We must dispatch them thoroughly and fast," as he tosses Tomda's head to the distance. Which, here's something that's interesting. When I was looking through the chapter, when we first introduced them, there are 5 whole knights. But we saw one of them getting hit right through with a spear. But at the end of the chapter, there is in fact 4 left. The one that was hit through by the spear is still alright, which means that what happened with Tomda was that he was hit with a powerful illusion, trapping him in an illusion where he's just killing off his opponents. This one knight realized this and potentially stopped Tomda from actually doing what he had begun to envision, thanks to Gowther, and just dispatched him quickly. So, it also shows how ruthless these knights are, as essentially they did kind of, well, view their companion as a hindrance, as they just assumed that he wouldn't be able to do anything in this current state, so we just straight up killed him. But yeah, that's a nice introduction to this new group of enemies that I assume we'll end up seeing before they reach Leonis. If that is the case, then I don't know how this is going to play out. But anyway, we move back to the main group as Percival is talking with Doltamache, the demon kid that he is in fact friends with. And I like how it's basically saying that they can keep the Keranosis antlers, and apparently it's useful for making medicine. So now he's just going to shave a bit of it off so he can use it to make some new medicines. And I like how Don's just straight up saying, like, if you're giving away gifts, just give me some more under ale. That stuff's delicious. And I like how Percival is just straight up communicating with the demons like almost nothing. I still want to know how he knows the demon tongue. I feel like that's going to play more into his backstory on why or how is the Knight of the Apocalypse or something. And anyway, as this conversation is going on, An and Gowther are actually sitting next to each other and having a little conversation. An is confirming Gowther's story, that Ardberg was satisfied with the image of his daughter that Gowther made for him, and that he gave up on killing Percival and handed over the amber trapped with the demons and just left. Gowther said that he did, but An notices that he lied. There was one lie in everything that Gowther said, the one about Ardberg leaving. As An begins to tremble, Gowther has a somber look on his face as the rest of the group notices An as she begins to cry, and they go up to try and comfort her, with the final panels being Sin staring at her, and the last panel being the Kernos dog that Ardberg had been traveling with in the cavern, sitting next to where he left his helmet, ending the chapter. Now, 4 Knights of the Apocalypse has been really good, and I'm liking how Nakubo Suzuki is planting seeds for these new enemies almost every single arc, and building up how strong new Chaos Knights will end up being. And I like how Gowther is trying to be nice to An, not fully realizing the whole thing of her detecting lies, and him having to be 100% truthful. And I like how, despite An basically only knowing Ardberg for literally a day, she could tell that he was a genuinely good person till the end, and was just consumed with grief and anger from what happened to his child. And yeah, from last chapter, Ardberg was genuinely a nice guy, but he did what he thought he had to do because of what happened to his daughter 16 years ago, and with Arthur recruiting him. But this arc also shows that Gowther can still be a badass when things come to it, but it also shows just how intelligent and intuitive these new knights, this new group of knights that we are seeing, are, as they literally dispatched the guy that Gowther had use his invasion on, seemingly instantly right before killing any of his companions. Though the events of how these panels were laid out, it makes you think that he did kill one of his fellow knights, and then the other knight just killed him in retaliation, showing that they probably wouldn't be able to cut him out. But then it's revealed that all the other knights are still alive and well. So either this knight has some kind of ability to revive the dead, which is alluded to by Arthur in the last chapter in that flashback with Ardberg, or this was all just one big illusion that Gowther made, similar to what he did to Dreyfus back at the beginning of the 7 Deadly Sins. I'm leaning more towards the latter, because that makes a hell of a lot more sense. But yeah, I can't wait to see what all these new knights can do and how they're going to fight. Also, I want to know if Gowther is going to join the group, or if he's going to stay in that little village on the mountains to look after the demons. I feel like Gowther would still do that, but maybe he'll help guide them to Leonis to help ensure that they can survive these new Chaos Knights, as the 4 of them plus Sin might not be able to handle them all. Speaking of Sin, I'm going to end off this video with one more thing. We've all been speculating that Sin is Lancelot, and him using seemingly an arrow to kill that familiar of the Chaos Knight more or less confirms it, because Lancelot can use a lance. He's also been trained to use an arrow, from what I believe, if I can remember correctly, from the Lancelot's one-shot. And Bond never uses an arrow. There are people that think that Sin is actually Bond, and from the dialogue that he shared with Gowther, Sin might be Bond. Now, I'm fine with either one of them, but I would like it if Lancelot was in fact Sin, as like a type of homage to his father, as he does respect his father Bond a lot and wants to be just like his father. So I'm fine with either one, but it would just make more sense for Lancelot to be Sin due to how his mannerisms and stuff like that, and to show that we already had half of the 4 knights already in the main group. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about this current chapter of the 4 Knights of the Apocalypse. It was good. I like that we got some closure for Ardberg. We got an introduction to a new group of enemies. Some stuff happens with Gowther, showing how angry he can and how he's still as strong as he was in the 7 Deadly Sins, and not be a bit stronger. And also planting the seeds for when Sin will actually reveal his identity, which I was wrong with this arc seemingly being the arc to reveal Sin's identity with. But hey, that's all I gotta say for this chapter. Really good. I'm still enjoying the 4 Knights, and we're inching closer to its 1-year anniversary. In January, it's going to be a whole year since this series came out, and I believe in January is when the English release of Volume 1 is coming out. So you know damn well that I'm going to grab that and add it to my collection. But with all that said and done, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. And follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you want to interact with me a bit more. And yeah, with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.